Welcome to Red River Rivalry, the podcast. I am OU host Sean, and we finally have our UT graduate Cristian Perez back from vacay. Working vacation.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a vacation, Sean. It was a lot of work just because you leave Amarillo. And I went to Dallas. The driving was a lot tougher. Came back with some clarity of how, even though the Amarillo drivers here suck, they just suck everywhere.
Yeah, so he's been to the land of Jerry World and the Cotton Bowl, and dang it. Oh, well, I was going to wax philosophical on how annoying that drive is. A town every fucking 10 minutes. But
the last week you broke the coverage of the SEC news for both of our teams. And
yeah, OU and Texas joining the SEC.
And over the weekend, SEC made it official and gave us our invitations.
And we officially accepted them like a day and a half later, which was kind of annoying they took that long. But I guess you got to have the formal meetings with all the regents and all that.
Yeah. So last week you were able to give your viewpoint, and this week I don't have much to say other than it's going to be interesting playing a lot of the teams that are in the SEC. Hopefully we get to play Alabama maybe every other year. That'd be fun. Probably every 2 years, I guess, right?
Well, it depends on what they come up with. I mean, I did a whole episode on the 3 different formats that have the most traction right now, and I don't know. Paul Feinbaum's trying to say the whole pods thing is the one they're most likely going to go with, but we'll see.
Sounds like we're going to see them in the championship then.
Which, so far, it sounds like it'd either be an Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri division or an Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas division. But either way, those 3 games would be the only games that would be guaranteed every year. Everything else would rotate.
I'm not too concerned about exactly who we're going to play. Just saying that, Alabama is usually number 1 in the SEC, so you're always looking to beat number 1. Not too worried about any of the other teams. Yeah,
in a perfect world, I'd prefer the 3 protected rival system with Texas, Arkansas, and Missouri as our protected rivals. Play Oklahoma State and Nebraska annually in non-conference, and that's your 12-game schedule. But that's a little too perfect to actually happen.
Well, my take on it is, of course, we're going to play Texas A&M again. A&M was the main team that was reluctant to having us back.
Especially because it's going to even out the recruiting. They were stealing some recruits from y'all just for being SEC, and that's going to even out now.
And that was hilarious. That was their own. That was literally their only.
Their only leg up.
Sales pitch, yeah. And I mean, now those players have a chance to, go to the SEC still, but now they have a choice in what kind of city they want to live in. Do they want to live in some backwards, farm town, or do they want to go to a progressive, more
hey, calm down, dude. Calm down, dude. You know you live in Amarillo.
More fun city to live in.
Oh man. Well, if this were the backwards universe where this was OU and OSU going through this,
both of those cities suck.
If OSU had been the SEC team and this was the other way around, obviously OSU would have had the same phenomenon, but I think OU still would have been destroying them in recruiting.
And then other than playing Texas A&M, I don't really see too much of a difference. We're going to be making a lot more money, which is sweet.
Locally, it'll really suck to lose the Texas Tech game, I would imagine.
Yeah, I went to Texas Tech for law school, and the 1 year Texas played in Lubbock, it was a madhouse. And so Lubbock used to count on that every other year and brought in a lot of money to their economy. A lot of Texas fans going to bars and restaurants, hotel stays. The stadium's usually full because a lot of the times you have families that have son going to Texas and his twin going over to the Texas Tech school.
Yeah.
So it's gonna lose a little bit of that luster advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first year living in Amarillo was the year of the Baker versus Pat Mahomes epic showdown in Lubbock, and we didn't have the money to go to that anyway, so it saved me the trouble of deciding. Because I mean, that would have been thrilling to be there, but at the same time, that game felt like a loss, giving up 59 points or whatever it was. I mean, because we didn't know Pat Mahomes was going to be Pat Mahomes back then. We just thought our defense was shit.
Yeah. Other than that, I really don't have much to say. It looks like Big 12 is going to be losing a lot of money, but
possibly not exist anymore either. Which
that I feel like is probably a definite, and I mean it's only the Big 12's fault for not putting up a bigger fight.
Yeah, which that's the other shoe that has to drop, because right now officially we're not moving till the 2025 season. That's only the official right now. That's the legalese. I mean, there's no way we're having a 4-year divorce.
The good thing is you're gonna have a lot of the last dance kind of games where it's gonna be a Texas
personally I hope
farewell tour.
Yeah, personally I hope Bedlam this year is our last Big 12 game, and them giving us all their vitriol, all their anger for us leaving them. That is going to be one of the games of the year. Watching Stillwater go absolutely bonkers when we're ranked number 1 going in their house.
We'll still have a couple of more years.
Well, if everything fell in perfect, we could go to the SEC next year. Remember Nebraska went immediately to the Big Ten. A&M went immediately to the SEC. It can happen, but this is a little bit more involved, because if the Big 12 is going to persist, they definitely want our $75 million, $80 million exit fees.
Yeah. So what else do you have for the show today?
Oh, it's mostly just getting your opinions on what I'd already talked about.
That's basically all my opinions.
Well, I mean, it's sinking in from it becoming officially official now. It's
I'm already over it.
I mean, some notes from the possibilities for the other Big 12 teams that I hadn't really thought about is that Baylor's going to have one heck of a time finding a home, because I had forgot about them thinking about religious schools. I mean, while Texas Christian, TCU is the biggest potential get for the Pac-12 in my opinion. Texas Christian being Texas Christian's kind of a no-go for the Pac-12, because Pac-12 doesn't really want religious schools. So,
well, you're gonna have to make compromises now with the other leagues, because you're gonna want to try to get the best teams possible, and if TCU is one of the best teams out there, you're going to have to make room for them somehow.
Not to mention, but just comparing the two, TCU is a lot more reformed, a lot more mainstream, and whereas Baylor, the Waco Wackos moniker goes for how they do their religious stuff too, kind of.
Well, if you want to open it up to other schools and what the Big 12 is going to do, you have to look, I guess. Let's take a step away from football, because that's what we've been mostly focused on. It is the most lucrative sport in NCAA, but what about the baseball schools, the basketball schools?
That's a good point, because I was about to say my line from the first episode is that Kansas basketball is the best orphan right now, but with just how bad they are in football, maybe they're not.
Baylor just won a championship.
Yeah, Baylor just won a championship in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of stumbled into remembering that, thankfully, during that episode, because if I'd forgot that completely, that would have been terrible.
It's been a long year.
Yeah, that's true. That's been a long time ago. I mean, it's been a long time since I put on Facebook that Cinderella loves Oral, for Oral Roberts, the Tulsa school that made a great run.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is just something that people can speculate on, and speculation is just kind of...
Yeah, I mean...
It's kind of useless for me.
Yeah, the Big 12 wanting those exit fees is the glue that's holding those 8 schools together right now. I mean, when you really break it down, like I said...
yeah, I mean, the Big 12 could... The Big 12 could like have like some long drawn out lawsuit to keep the both of our schools in, but at the end of the day, everyone knows it's about money.
Which they're kind of deflecting that at ESPN right at the moment, because I think ESPN's pulling the strings, wanting better conferences, better product on the TV and all that. So.
Honestly, they don't want to. The Big 12 doesn't want to lose more money than they're already losing. So, if they want to go after ESPN, they're not going to get very far. Well,
maybe the one wrinkle we need to address before we sign off is that unfortunately the move being official is pumping the brakes on the 12-team college football playoff a little bit, because the other conferences are like, whoa, we weren't expecting there to be 7 SEC teams getting in this 12-team playoff here. This was supposed to give our leagues a better chance here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That maybe the 12-team they should give it a fair chance to have other teams.
Which my response would be is, we'll just kick the can further down the road. Let's just grab the 16-team playoff, and then if your conference is decent, you should be getting 2 teams in that format every year regardless anyway. At least 2 or 3. So, I mean, that's, if you divide 16 by 5, that's 3 spots for every Power 5 conference and 1 group of 5, basically.
Speaking of tournaments, this past weekend there was the end of one tournament in particular. Las Vegas hosted the Gold Cup final.
Oh, well, I was going to save that for the soccer specific show, but
USA played Mexico. I got a chance to watch it while I was on the way back from Dallas.
And
have you seen the highlights or anything to that show?
I've finally seen the goal, but I haven't really dived into the highlights in depth. I did record a re-air so I can watch the whole game later. I had to work that night, and I didn't even record it, the original feed, because I thought we were going to get. Yeah, I thought Mexico was going to wipe the floor with us, because it was basically our C team versus mostly their A team. I mean, but our guys showed that the C stood for champions.
Yeah, that was the story the whole night, and people were a little disgruntled with the fact that if they were going to go see this final, they're going to see not the best USA team, or that's what their opinion was. And obviously, the best USA team out there was the one that won.
Yeah, and it's a product of a couple different things. It's a product of compressing the soccer calendar from COVID, and it's also a product of this just being a money grab tournament anyways. I mean, North America plays 2 Gold Cups per cycle. They really only need 1 just to grab more money for the federation.
The USA had a really good team out there. They played with a lot of heart, and they played with a lot of tenacity. The whole team was playing defense, basically all game.
Yeah,
it was incredible. I know you're a big defender kind of guy, and you love the goalkeeper position, and Turner was out there saving everything.
And that's an interesting story too. I mean, he was just an athlete that didn't even start playing soccer until he saw the 2010 World Cup and our amazing run there. So I mean, he was basically a high school sophomore, high school junior when he first decided to play the game, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, when all of our American sports are very hand-eye coordination, I'm sure he probably had a football and baseball background that helped him hit the ground running in that position.
Yeah. Once an athlete, obviously an athlete, and you're gonna have that mentality of wanting to win and wanting to put your body on the line for something. That's just how all athletes are. So
yeah, and
you got a really good point there.
And to round out this can round back to the SEC on this form, and that the one surprising consequence is that I think because of SEC mandates, I think we actually have to add a couple female sports. So to balance out the Title IX, we might actually get men's soccer added to the OU and Texas roster finally.
That would be fun and interesting. The Texas Men's Soccer Club, not affiliated with I don't think they're affiliated with the university in any way, but they're always on the wing, ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, considering at this point, thankfully, the development curve has bypassed college anyways. It's not that big a deal on my radar anymore, but it's still like, how does that not exist? I mean, obviously, it'd be a bigger deal if Norman actually created a real professional team for the lower divisions, but I mean, so we're talking about, the universities, and really Norman should be trying to get both, to be honest, but I mean, we're probably a little ways away from that.
Yeah. There was a lot of criticism going towards Suarez's way. I think that's his name, in the Mexican team. Their midfielder gave up a lot of sloppy. He was handling the ball really sloppily, and just let the ball escape him. And there were, again, our strikers were just playing defense. And when you have that mentality of taking the ball away from the other team, they were able to take the ball away, and there was always somebody there right behind them to take the shot. The early minutes, there was a chance that was given up by the Mexican defense. The U.S. was able to capitalize with the shot on goal. Unfortunately, it went just wide.
Is this
right.
the Sebastian Lletget chance everybody's talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it should have been a goal. The composure just wasn't there, and you can tell that it was a young guy in his first big USA Mexico game, and just.
Well, the sad thing is he's not that inexperienced because he's actually an MLS veteran, on the wrong side of 30 now. So, but actually, I think I kind of cut you off a little bit when you wanted to talk about the baseball schools and how the SEC move is affecting that.
I mean, Texas has a really good baseball school, so they'll fit in just fine with the SEC. I don't think OU's baseball will be able to compete.
Yeah, I wish OU's baseball was a little bit better. That is one of the things we're looking forward to on the softball front. I mean, SEC is the softball conference as well, so I mean, we're really looking forward to that challenge. That's going to be insane. Like last year, I think when you look at the 64 teams that were in the super regionals of softball or whatever, I think like 13 of the 14 SEC teams made it or something like that for softball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Texas Tech, again, they have a good baseball team. They have a great track team. But I feel like track is one of those sports that you always compete against everybody in NCAA anyways. You have your conference meets, but you always save your best for the national NCAA wide meets.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's probably some other SEC powerhouses in other sports we're not quite remembering right now. Vanderbilt baseball is really good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just had the national story about the Mets not signing their guy and him going back into the draft pool.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the Mets are getting like the 12th pick in next year's draft because they weren't able to sign the 11th pick in this year's draft, basically.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we're going to switch gears into the European soccer preview. This is one of those soccer summers where it's, thankfully, there basically is no off-season, is the way they stack the international tournaments, because we went straight from Euros ending to Gold Cup to Olympics, which technically haven't ended yet. It's just ended for us because the women lost their semifinal and the Mexico men lost their semifinal this morning, thankfully, and they'll both play bronze medal matches. But the actual European soccer season for all the teams, your Manchester Uniteds, your Barcelonas, your Real Madrids is about to start cranking up in a week or two here. So thought I'd do a little preview of European soccer for you. Any thoughts, Cristian?
I honestly don't watch European soccer.
You mostly just follow our national teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a...
Soccer is just one of those love-hate sports for me. I was forced into it when I was little, and I like it because I understand the sport and I understand the strategies behind everything. But it's just been ingrained in me that when you force something on people, it's kind of hard to like it.
Right. It's kind of like how I was saying about the offensive line holding me back from soccer in the other episode. But I don't know. In general, I kind of don't like doing predictions because then when you get to the season, you realize how silly you were. But then again, they're kind of fun. So I'll run through my quick Premier League and European League thoughts here. My Manchester United team have made a lot of great moves. They have a chance to finally make a title challenge after 8 years of not winning the league. So, I mean, it's kind of optimistic, but I do have them penciled in on top. Manchester City is going to be either first or second. I mean, unfortunately, their juggernaut's going to keep jugging, especially if they get a Harry Kane before the end of the transfer window, and Jack Grealish and God knows who all else. Then hopefully we've got Christian Pulisic and Chelsea finishing third. I really want them to qualify for the Champions League through the league. I mean, they kind of cut it really close at the end of the last season. They technically qualified through the league, but if they hadn't, they would have had to win the Champions League like they did just to get the back door into the Champions League. So, yeah. Leicester City, their darlings from 2015-2016, they have finished fifth 2 years in a row, just barely not in the Champions League. So, the big boy. So, yeah, it's kind of a darling story of me wanting it, but also Leicester City kind of proved their stripes by winning the FA Cup final against Chelsea anyways. So, and those two teams are the ones fighting for the Champions League spot. So Leicester City won the battle on the day for the trophy, but Chelsea won the war getting into the Champions League. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see if Leicester can finally take that final step to get back into the Champions League. The year they were actually in it from winning the 2015-16 Premier League, they were everybody was like, oh, they're going to mess up England's coefficient. Oh, they're going to mess up England's coefficient. But then they were the last English team standing in the quarterfinals or however far they got, so that was hilarious. So, yeah, I'm hoping Leicester finally takes the last step back into the top four. Liverpool, my hated rivals, I have finishing fifth, which would leave them outside the Champions League looking in unless they actually win the Champions League, which would be really annoying. And then from there, it gets interesting because Arsenal and Spurs have kind of fallen off a cliff in recent years. So I've actually got Leeds finishing sixth, which Leeds United are kind of an interesting former rival that finally got promoted back into the Premier League last year. It's a hated rivalry between the two fan bases, but, I'm overseas. I don't actually get to meet the actual fan bases for the most part. So to me, it's just kind of fun to have them back. It's like OU and Missouri finally getting to play each other again. So then I got Arsenal finishing seventh, Everton finishing eighth, and Spurs finishing ninth. But that Leeds, Arsenal, Everton, Spurs cluster really could kind of flip in any order. The mid-table teams are really hard to tell. I mean, this is just kind of rattling off the betting odds and my personal likes and dislikes and gripes in a way. I got Wolves 10th, Aston Villa 11th, Crystal Palace 12th, Southampton 13th, Brighton 14th. Norwich, Brentford, Watford is a cluster of the relegation-threatened teams I want to stay up. Those could kind of finish in any order. And then my relegation teams, Newcastle is a complete circus. They're overdue for one of their drop down to the championship, come back immediately up 2-year cycles. They've gone through that 2 or 3 times, and that's always hilarious because they used to be bigger. They had the goal movie. They used to be in the Champions League briefly in the early to mid 2000s. I got West Ham going down. I mean, they did finish close to European places last year, but I mean, they also lost some of their better players, and I don't know. It's just me hating on them because their fans attacked the Manchester United bus a few years ago. And that was weird and dangerous.
The hooligans, man?
Yeah, West Ham are hooligans, man. There's a reason why in John Oliver's piece about the World Cup, when he says it's a good thing FIFA isn't sponsored by cocaine and chainsaws, he photoshopped it on a West Ham fan. And then I have Burnley on the bottom. I mean,
I've seen the movie. Hooligans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I actually haven't. I need to check that out.
With Frodo?
Oh, yeah. Now I know the one you're talking about. I've seen the previews. There's kind of a funny episode of, what's that British comedy? Dang it, it's really good. The IT Crew, where they get mixed up with West Ham fans too.
Yeah.
And then looking at the teams possibly coming up from the championship, I've got Fulham, West Brom. The top 2 from the championship are automatic promotion, and then you got a 4-team playoff for the final spot. Barnsley is a team I root for all the time because my favorite online friend that's a Green Bay Packers fan is from Barnsley. That's his squad. And then betting odds say Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and Cardiff should all be fighting for promotion spots. Looking at the other Big 5 European leagues and which teams should be qualifying for the Champions League, I currently have Bayern Munich, RB Leipzig, Leverkusen, and Dortmund in the top 4 with Mönchengladbach, Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim, and Wolfsburg trying to crash the party. In Spain, I've got Atletico Madrid winning the title just because Barcelona and Real Madrid are still, they're kind of in between generations. They're also kind of, they're feeling the financial effects really bad from how bad they've spent money in the past, and they're just kind of clown shows by their standards right now. I've got Sevilla finishing 4th with Villarreal and Real Sociedad both fighting hard for that spot. In Serie A, the Italian league, I've got Juventus climbing back to the top. I mean, Inter Milan surprised them to the title this past year. But Juventus is going to be really mad. They're going to want to take that right back. Cristiano Ronaldo's the MJ Mamba mentality. He'll get that trophy back. Then Inter Milan 2, Napoli 3, Atalanta 4, which is always fun to say. I mean, that's probably where the name Atlanta came from, right? Atalanta. With AC Milan, Roma, and Lazio, the 5 through 7 fighting for Champions League. I didn't quite finish filling out the French league, honestly. I knew I forgot one, but Timothy Weah actually upset Paris Saint-Germain to the French league title this past term, and that was quite a story. PSG is kind of like the Clemson of European soccer, having a way too easy league to play in, but they actually got upset last year. Lille actually beat them to the title. So, and then if you look at the Champions League overall odds, the top teams fighting for Champions League, the top 10, according to the odds makers, are Paris Saint-Germain, kind of hilarious since they've never won the thing, and that's been their big quest for the last several years. Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, which I think some of that's English bias just from English odds makers, but still. Barcelona, Real Madrid, just by name, not by quality right now. Juventus, Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, which, with it being a knockout stage tournament, I mean, crazy stuff happens. I mean, Chelsea was probably not the best team in Europe last year, but they were the team that played best in the Champions League, which made them champions of Europe last year. And Christian Pulisic kind of, earned back some stripes on the going to Chelsea part by beating Man City in that final. And, that's your top 10 teams fighting for Champions League glory. They haven't drawn groups yet because they're still in the qualifying phase of the tournament. There's the other teams are still fighting to get into that group stage, but the teams that we know are there, those are the teams with the best odds. So, yeah.
That was. I mean, you did. You had a really great analysis. I don't know half the teams you were talking about, but I did recognize a lot of the players and the reasons why you put each team at each spot. I thought they were solid.
Alrighty, thank you, buddy. And we've got more and more Americans on these great teams all the time. I mean, Weston McKinney at Juventus, just pull one out, and I mean, the future's bright for American soccer, Americans in the European teams, and I mean, my Manchester United crew's hopefully going to be competing for trophies this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. Our first game is actually against Leeds on the 14th, so it's about to get cracking.
Yeah. So we're going to start cutting the shows to less than 30 minutes, so that way we can try to get on this new
distributor for Spotify.
Yeah, they'll host us for free once a week as long as we keep our episodes under 30 minutes. So we're going to try to do that until we can start getting like YouTube channel members and Patreon.
And hopefully working with a deadline will improve our quality too, because I mean we've kind of noticed our shorter episodes are the better ones anyways.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see you next time. Do you have any last words?
Just enjoy your football, your soccer, baseball, whatever you're into, and have a great time. OU Texas fans, Big 12 fans, SEC fans, anybody that wants to listen to us.
All right, see you next time.
Yep.